No Edvinsson, no problem. The Detroit Red Wings have won yet again, stomping on the Winnipeg Jets 5-1 on the road. With this, the Wings are now at a total of 69 points this season. They are atop the Atlantic Division, and they are tied for second in the NHL. The Lightning ended up losing earlier today to the Columbus Blue Jackets 8-5, which opened the door for the Wings to take the tie. And with Detroit beating Winnipeg 5-1, it was obviously a fun night. Now, the funny part is, I'm on NHL.com, and they say here that Connor Hellebuyck was the second star of the game, despite the fact that he had an .867 save percentage and a .408 goals against. He allowed 4 goals on 30 shots against, and you can say what you want about the quality of the saves that he had, but second star over John Gibson? That's a choice. Anyways, let's dive into the goals. Let's dive into how the Wings played, because they were the better team in this one. There's no question about that. They also did pile on the offense in the third period, totally overwhelming the Jets and just saying, hey, we are winning this game. Because 10 minutes into the second period, you had the first goal scored by Koepke. It was right off the face-off here. The Winnipeg Jets win the draw back. Puck is thrown towards the front of the goal. It takes a weird hop, finds itself onto the stick of Koepke, and as he's driving by the front of the net, he's able to get it by Gibson and score. It was 1-0 for a very short amount of time, because just 5 minutes later, you had J.T. Compher, a guy who admittedly has been really turning it up as of late, bringing the game back to evens. The Red Wings enter the zone, they get an initial scoring chance, the puck finds itself behind the goal, and then it pops back out in front. Kopp throws it to Compher, who's right there on the doorstep. He takes a couple of whacks at it, and it inevitably goes by Connor Hellebuyck, who's just sitting up. He's frustrated. You can tell that he was like, what? How did that go in? Come on, guys. Yeah, that's a pretty blank Connor Hellebuyck stare. He's like, what in the world just happened there? But Detroit ties it up 1-1. That is Compher's 7th on the season, assisted by Andrew Kopp. And that same JT Compher was able to get things going in the third to give the Red Wings the lead. 1 minute and 43 seconds into the third period is all it took for the Red Wings' Emmett Finney, JVR, and JT Compher to score on a 3-on-2 rush. It's a really nice passing play back and forth. JVR goes back up to Finney, and then he throws it across to Compher, who makes no mistake beating Connor Hellebuyck on the cross-crease play. It's a nice 2-1 goal. 7 minutes later, you have Lucas Raymond, who scores on a really interesting play. He tries a little wraparound behind the goal. The puck takes a weird bounce. You have Kasper on the side of the goal trying to whack it in from up top, but inevitably the puck is still loose on the post side, and Raymond is there to bury it in. Again, Connor Hellebuyck finds himself sitting on his behind, complaining to the referees, complaining to his teammates as to why that goal went in. And I'm going to be honest, it was really difficult for Connor Hellebuyck to stop that. The puck was just up and everywhere. He tried to knock it down. It deflected off the crossbar and inevitably went inside the goal. You could definitely understand the frustration there, but hey, for the sake of my fantasy team and for the sake of the Red Wings, thank goodness Lucas Raymond gets the 3-1 goal. Alex DeBrincat made it 4-1 on the empty net. Also another big boost for my fantasy team. And then after, while the goalie is back in the net, just 30 seconds after it became 4-1, you have Lucas Raymond and Kasper capitalizing on a 2-1 odd man rush, with Hellebuyck still in the frame. It's Kasper who comes right in and he buries it. This guy has been working really hard the past few weeks, months even. He has been so unlucky, so unfortunate in the way the points have not seemed to come. He had a great season last year, but now taking the initiative, finding the shot, just being able to beat one of the best goalies in the world on a 2-on-1 rush and not defer to Raymond on the other side. That's a pretty good progression there compared to what we had seen most of the season out of Kasper. If there's anybody who deserves better fate this season, I'd say Kasper is right at the top of the list, so good on him for getting the 5-1 goal. And that's all she wrote, folks. The Winnipeg Jets just got totally smoked here. The third period collapse that nobody really expected, but that I don't think anybody's really too surprised about. We did say earlier in today's show that the Jets are one of the worst teams in the National Hockey League, so Detroit had themselves a good opportunity. That's 5 out of 6 points here on the road trip, which is pretty good. Not gonna lie. The team has been winning games. They were able to do so without Simon Edvinsson, and despite the fact that they were shorthanded, they were still able to take it to the Maple Leafs, the Senators. Sure, they needed extra time to win these games. They got extra time against the Wild too, but unfortunately they lost that one. And then this time around, 5-1 versus the Winnipeg Jets. It's a pretty good time to be a Detroit Red Wings fan, I would say. John Gibson showed up. He did what he needed to do. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't too extravagant, but he still stands tall. And the Detroit Red Wings now as one of the top teams in the NHL, period. There's only one team that has more points than the Red Wings this year at this time, and that's Colorado. Granted, they have an 8-point lead, but still, there's a lot to like out of this game, and I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this win versus the Winnipeg Jets? If you're a Jets fan, how do you feel right now? We don't usually address the losers of these post-game video commentaries, but for Winnipeg, how is it that y'all are thinking about this season? What's your mindset? What's your perspective on how things have gone? I don't think it's a Connor Hellebuyck thing. Like, I know I dogged on the fact that Hellebuyck was given second star of the night in this game, but really I think he didn't have much support, especially in all the goals that went in. Like, maybe it really was a pity star there. He was sitting on his behind for like 3 out of those goals, and he was all upset. So, yeah, Connor Hellebuyck hasn't had a good season this year. I mean, he was the best player in the NHL last year by a pretty significant margin. I think I was reading a stat about, like, fantasy hockey leagues and whatnot, because I saw some people complaining about, oh yeah, like, oh, I took Connor Hellebuyck in my fantasy league and now I'm toast. Why would I take a goalie in the first round? And the interesting thing was, I think amongst all the main fantasy hockey leagues, including Yahoo, ESPN, and the others, if you went by the standard scoring point system, which most leagues generally tend to do, Connor Hellebuyck was the #1 player in most leagues last year by a pretty significant margin. So it's not a bad take to say that the guy should have been a top player this year, but he's just not doing that. So yeah, anybody who took Connor Hellebuyck in the first round of their fantasy league, I'm sorry. If you were one of those folks, let me know in the comment section all your opinions about how things are going right now. But hey, he ended up taking another L today versus Detroit. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section about the game itself, some of the other talking points that we had here. The Red Wings 5-1 victory over Winnipeg. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.